Hi, Sam. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Doing well.
it's very nice to meet you. And also, just to start things up, can you tell me or share a little bit about yourself, and also tell me about your carnivore journey? How did it all start?
Yeah, well, I woke up one day. Now, everything that I'm going to say in this interview was 3 years ago. So that's when it all started. So, yeah, I woke up one morning, I was 34, and I thought that I was having a heart attack. And I had a lot of inflammation. I knew I had a lot of inflammation. I was overweight and stuff. But really, that morning, I woke up and I noticed I was a little bit lightheaded. So I went to the bathroom to try to wash my face off and stuff. And whenever I started doing that, it's like I was almost about to black out. So I was thinking, I was like, I'm going to go downstairs, get something to eat. So I ran downstairs really quick and I took a bite of an apple. My throat started to close up. Like it started like literally closing up. I couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything. And I was like thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm about to die. Like that's no exaggeration. I was scared to death. It was one of the most terrifying experiences. But I seen some ladies outside, so I yelled at them and I was like, please, someone call an ambulance. I'm about to black out. I think I'm having a heart attack because my heart was just beating really fast inside of my chest. So um, the ambulance came. They gave me like a solution, the IV or whatever. I was really dehydrated, and by the time I got to the doctors, I sat there a while. They did their scans and everything like that. I started to feel better a little bit with the IVs, and I'll get back to that in a minute, which ties into carnivore. I don't know if a lot of people know this part, but if you're watching this, please stick around. We'll get to that point. Um, but I was sitting there and I was expecting some bad news. The doctors came in, they're like, yeah, everything looks good. Your labs look good. You got gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD. And I always had a little reflux, but I didn't understand like acid reflux is like here. Everybody gets a little reflux every now and then. But GERD is when it is a disease like form of acid reflux. It's really bad, very painful. You have two different versions of it. You have silent reflux, which more it attacks your voice box more, and then you have the one like I had, and that was just it's burning the bottom of your esophagus. See, your esophagus has a protective layer of mucus around it, and over the years, this acid reflux has burned that protection away, and now it's just burning the tissue. And it can become Barrett's esophagus, which is precancerous tissue. Well, I told the doctors in there, I was like, are you sure? Are you like, did you check everything? Because what I felt back at the house, there was no reason that I should be feeling like that with reflux. And they were like, yeah, we'll get you set up with a doctor in town, and then we want you to follow up with your family doctor. Well, a few months goes by, I end up going to the family doctor, and he puts me on the PPIs. So I start, it was a PPI and a H2 blocker. So I was taking that at this time. I did not change my diet. A lot of the doctors, they don't tell you to change your diet. They tell you, here's your medicine. Take your medicine. Excuse me. Sorry. Um, Take your medicine. So anyway, I was taking the medicine and nothing was changing. I was still having symptoms. It wasn't burning as bad, but it was still burning, and I couldn't get it to stop. So I finally went to the gastro doctor, and that's where he told me that I had fatty liver disease, the GERD, which I already knew about, Barrett's esophagus, had gastritis, and then some other things that I had. I had a cyst. I didn't find this out there, but other doctors that I went to, I had a cyst on my brain, a cyst on my liver, had hypertension, prediabetes, and candida, all at 34 years old. And I'm like, there's no reason that I should be feeling this way at 34 years old. I shouldn't have. So I started going down the rabbit hole of research. He wanted to see me a little while later again, make sure everything was all right. Um, so I came across Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Sean Baker, Eric Berg. He's more keto, but I was listening to him a lot too. Uh, Dr. Sean O'Mara, listen to podcasts like yours. But just anything I was listening religiously, because I started noticing there was a lot of people reversing type 2 diabetes with carnivore. They were reversing, just their GERD. They wasn't having the burning anymore. They wasn't having inflammation as bad. They were losing weight like crazy. And when I heard, I'm like, you're losing weight when you're eating more saturated fat. At the beginning, it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, that sounds, like counterintuitive there. Like I didn't get it, but I just kept listening. And then one day I was like, I think I'm going to try this out. So I started going into carnivore, and I just couldn't stay faithful to it. My body was so used to processed food. I ate processed food my entire life because I always, my family didn't know no better. And we were just buying food. If it was sold in the store, we thought it was food. We never read ingredients lists. We never did anything like that. So I started, just not being faithful to it. But I kept watching, I kept getting inspired and all that. So I created my own way of slowly going into carnivore. If you are watching right now and you are somebody who is struggling with staying consistent with carnivore, I got you. This is what worked for me. I can't guarantee it'll work for everybody else the same way it did me, but this is the way I was able to be consistent with it. Instead of eating processed food and processed sugars, I transitioned into whole foods and natural sugars: bananas, grapes, apples, peaches, plums, pears, all all kinds of stuff like that. And I did that for a month. But each week I would take one of the fruit out so that I can easily get used to going into a more low carb diet. So each week I would take it out, and then I did keto for a month, and it was easier to the keto diet. I still had some veggies and things like that. So after a month of that, it was the same process. I started taking out one veg at a time. That way I could get into more just nothing but animal products, mainly steak, ground beef, things like that. Excuse me, sorry. So once I started eating like that, this is where the keto flu hit me. It didn't really hit me at the beginning when I was in Whole Foods. It was during the transition phase into carnivore. So I felt rough. I felt sluggish. I felt absolutely horrible. And I didn't realize at the time that it was just like a massive detox. My body was not used to this. It's like, hey, what are you doing? There's a hunger hormone in our brains called ghrelin. Ghrelin gets triggered with more carbohydrates that you eat. So with the carbs, you're consuming them, and then an hour later it's saying, hey, you're hungry again, eat something else, which leads into overeating. So 2 weeks finally got into the carnivore part. Now I did carnivore for 2 months straight. I mean strict. There was no cheating. There was no nothing. I was very intentional with what I was doing. During this time, I was learning about fasting at the same time. So 2 weeks in, I noticed that there was no more burning in my throat. That was completely resolved. There was no more phlegm, hacking up phlegm. There was no more, that dry cough or whatever. There was no more of that. I started playing sports again. I started losing weight. I noticed that there was a lot of inflammation in my knees, and that was gone. I felt light as a feather. At my biggest, I was 213. When I got into keto, I went to 204. Then when I went to carnivore, I stayed in that for a while, and I started learning about fasting and doing 1 meal a day, and I went all the way down to 160 at my lowest. And then I was like, I got to eat some more and get my weight back to, I wanted now is the biggest I've ever been in my life, muscle-wise. I put on the most muscle I've ever had in my life, but I like to stay around a healthy 172, 175. That's where I stay comfortable. But yeah, I went to the family doctor for some some follow-up visits and stuff after a couple months, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I lost weight. He was like, "You just have to come in now for follow-up visits. We don't. All these things are getting better." I went to the gastro doctor. We had a thing again, and he was just like, we don't have to see you for 3 years. We'll check it out one more time in 3 years, and that's coming up this September. And we'll see how everything's looking and all that. So yeah, that's what got me into carnivore. I was sick with 9 diagnoses. I thought I was having a heart attack one day, and then I went down the rabbit hole of research because nothing I was being told to do was working. They never told me to change my diet, so I found some doctors online that were speaking the truth. I followed what they said to do, and now I'm better. So that's my journey into carnivore.
Wow, that's an amazing story. I feel like, you know, you've gone through a lot, you know, with that. Because I'm not really familiar with GERD. I thank you for explaining, you know, about that. Um, what were the symptoms did you experience specifically? I know you were having like chest problems, chest discomfort. Like, did
Yeah.
you have like even before that? I guess similar to a heart attack. Did you? What other things do you experience?
Yeah, during that time, like I had an idea, like I had some serious reflux going on. Symptoms I felt more than anything. I had heart palpitations like crazy. Right here, I had some pain in the center of my back, and I had that dry cough. Of course, the intense burning. I can't even explain to you with accuracy just how bad the burning was. Um, I would wake up in the middle of the night too, and I couldn't breathe. Like it just, I guess the reflux went back up to my lungs. I know that happens to some people. Uh, but yeah, I would wake up in a panic attack because I could not breathe. And it would just wake me up in the middle of the night during that time. And yeah, it was absolutely horrific. But that is the extent of all of the, experiences that I had with symptoms with GERD.
Wow. I mean, so I know you mentioned that you've gone to a, family doctor, and then they ask you, what have you been doing, and this and that you don't have to go back like in 3 years, after 3 years later. What were the, I guess, the treatment option they suggested for you to do? Did they say like maybe lifestyle change, or maybe more medications, or did it ever gone to like all the way to surgery or anything like that?
I never got into surgery, but they kept telling me that I've got to get the fatty liver down. And they didn't tell me how to do it, though, because these doctors are not given one nutrition class. I'm not hating on doctors. If you're a doctor, I'm not hating on you. It's just what you've been taught. I get it. It's all you know. But they're taught to treat symptoms, not get down to the underlying root cause of the issue. Um, But no, they didn't really tell me to change my diet at all. They just kept putting me on the PPIs. They put me on 40 milligrams of omeprazole in the morning, or sorry, before lunch, and then I had a 40 milligram famotidine, before bed. But that was the extent of the medication. Like I know now that they would literally, if I went to the doctor today and they looked at my LDL, they would almost have a heart attack because I ate a lot of red meat. Um, but yeah, during the time he was talking to me and stuff, we got into like a small disagreement. Um, I'm the patient, he's the doctor. He went to school, he knows all this stuff or whatever. We're buddies, but we got into this little disagreement there. But he sort of told me, he's like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "I started eating more red meat, and I started sprinting, I started fasting, and lifting heavy weight." That was the extent of what helped me out right there. I ate real food and a lot of red meat. And then he said, "Oh, you got to watch the red meat. You got to be careful with that because it's going to raise your LDL. That clogs arteries. Da da da. Does this? You need to eat more lean meat." And now I'm not against lean meat. I have to add fat to it. I cook in beef tallow, butter, ghee, things like that. But I just I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Like everything that he seen was wrong on my panel got fixed. But he's telling me to take away the thing that got me to that point just so that one thing, LDL, doesn't too far up. And he's like, "You need to stop that, do that." And I said, "No, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing." I'm like, everything that was on my panel got better. But if all that went up is my LDL, I think I'm good to go. So that was my conversation with my family doctor.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very interesting conversation with the doctor, and it's also always interesting, to hear when I'm guessing with this with the doctors, when they say they can fix something, but or you just have to manage, and then when something else not in the radar, it's like it's a completely different story. So I think that's really interesting. Um, did you have like any underlying maybe assumption even before you found carnivore, like what might have triggered, like this disease, or uh, maybe life in general, the stress, maybe working? Did you have any assumption what was causing it?
Yeah, now I do. At the time I didn't, but I'm glad you said that because a lot of people think that it's only the food, which 90% of it is food. But there's a lot of things that can trigger reflux and things like that. One, if you have a hiatal hernia, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to maintain the reflux because if you lean over to, like, there's certain weight training that I have to do or that I have to avoid to maintain that reflux from coming up. But if you lean over a lot, you do things like that at your job, and you got a hernia, a known hernia, then that is going to be a little bit more difficult for you. But mine, once I went carnivore, it got better. Like I didn't have reflux. I have not had the intense burning in 3 years since that. Every now and then, if I went back to if I had like a birthday party to go to or the holidays, I'll get some LPR, which is silent reflux symptoms. But yeah, another thing that can do it is stress. Stress will it can really main it. How am I saying it? Stress can really trigger the reflux. I don't know why that is, but I worked in the factory for a long time, and I'm actually going back to that factory. But anyways, stress levels can really contribute to a lot of your reflux issues and a lot of other things too, health wise. So it's maintaining the stress levels. There's a few natural things that you could do. Get out in the sun, go for hikes, do something that you like to do, combat against the stress, find something that you like to do and do that, and that can really help. I noticed a lot of benefits when I started hiking more, biking more, getting out on the lake during the summertime, getting in the sun. That stuff is very important. But the biggest thing that I figured out, again, at the beginning, I didn't know that this would trigger reflux or anything like that, but it was the ingredients in the food that's in the supermarket. That is the worst thing. There's a 16-year-old kid that messaged me on TikTok, talking about, the doctors telling him his could turn into Barrett's esophagus because his at 16, his is already that bad. So, yeah, it's high fructose corn syrup. It's corn syrup in general. Caffeine. If you drink caffeine in any type, it could be soda, it could be coffee, anything that's got caffeine in it, it relaxes the esophageal sphincter if you're dealing with GERD, and that leaves it open so that reflux can come back up and do more damage. So I started avoiding caffeine. Let's see, seed oil. Seed oils are absolutely terrible for you. That is vegetable seed oil, grape seed oil, sunflower oil, canola oil, things like that. Avoid at all costs. That's what I did, and I started eating real food. I was cooking with beef tallow, butter, ghee, and I started to get better. But the doctor, to answer your question more specifically, the doctor didn't mention anything about those things at all. Nothing. Um, he gives the quick eat more fruit and vegetables, blah, 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 but nothing other than that. So yeah, that's my experience with my illnesses and stuff. So once I started sprinting, I started burning a lot of fat. I listened to Dr. Sean O'Mara. I would encourage you, if you are watching this and you got Barrett's esophagus, I I felt like I was hopeless until I was always thinking that I was dying. I was always worried that, with every little burn during that phase before carnivore, that it would turn into you know what, and it scared me to death. It would scare me so bad I went into panic attacks. But I found Dr. Sean Omar. He had aggressive Barrett's, like it was really, really bad. He had to get a scope every 3 months. He got so good at getting the scope done, they didn't have to put him to sleep anymore. He just opened his mouth and they put the scope straight down, pop it out, and he just goes on about his way. He started doing carnivore, and all of that was fixed. See, he talks about visceral fat, and I think this was a big contributor to relieving the reflux symptoms, because you have two different types of fat. You have subcutaneous fat, which is that fat that's on the outside of your abdominal muscles, and that's fat that you can see, you can grab, you can touch, you can pinch. But the more dangerous fat that can only be burned through high intensity training, like sprinting, HIIT workouts, the ropes at the gym, things, the rowing machine, that burns visceral fat. Visceral fat is underneath your abdominal muscles, and it squeezes against all of your organs. See, I had fatty liver disease. It can only handle so much fat, and then it starts pushing it out to the other organs underneath your abdomen. And that causes all the organs to squeeze together. And I believe that's what gave me that hiatal hernia. My stomach had fat all over it. My spleen, my pancreas, my intestines, my heart, all of that had that visceral fat surrounding it. So once I started running, I mean, not running, because there's a difference in jogging and sprinting. Sprinting, you're going all out for short periods of time. So listening to him, he encouraged me to start sprinting and burning that visceral fat. So I started, doing a lot of running, sprinting, doing the row machines, doing the ropes at Planet Fitness and things like that. And I started losing a lot of weight. I think this helped contribute to that weight loss, that dramatic weight loss from 204 to 160 in just a couple months. But fasting plays a part in it too. Really, the one that I listened to more than that was, so I guess you could say these are coming from doctors, but it's just not my family doctor. It's from YouTube doctors who are actually, they still have a practice and they speak the truth. So I listened to Dr. Eric Berg, and he started talking about the power of fasting and autophagy. So again, if you got Barrett's, hang out with us. I want to tell you what I believe is the biggest contributor to helping me out. With fasting, see, I was a pre-diabetic. I can only do it for a certain amount of time at the beginning. My body wasn't healed. So the further I went into carnivore, the more I started being able to fast longer. The hunger hormone I was telling you about earlier, it started to calm down. I wasn't hungry as much. I started putting on a lot of muscle with the meat that I was eating. And I was losing fat, gaining muscle at the same time. So with fasting, once you hit like 24 hours, you really start going into a process called autophagy. Now, autophagy is a Greek word that means self-eating. So your body is always running, looking for a fuel source. So you got food in your stomach, it gets sent out, and it's stored up for later when you need that energy. Your stomach's empty. So after it feeds on that, it's going to go into fat burning mode. So that's what's so great about carnivore. You're constantly in fat burning mode. You don't have carbohydrates, which break down into sugar in your body. You don't have sugar in your body, so therefore it's constantly fueling on fat. You're not eating. So I'm sitting in this, I'm sitting in this chair right now and I'm burning fat. I'm not even working out right now. So once it goes through that, it's going to start going after any damaged cells or any damaged tissue, which is what Barrett's esophagus is. That protective layer of mucus has been destroyed, and then it goes into repair mode on that tissue that was damaged, the esophageal tissue. And I believe that was one of the biggest contributors to not having that on my second report, because they say you can't reverse this. But there's been multiple people who have said that they have. Now, I will admit that the doctor was a little vague on that second trip. So once I get this next one in September, I want to ask for a full breakdown. What's in there, everything that you've seen. If it's still there, is it legitimately like getting better? All that is going to be found out in September, but I'm optimistic. Like I already know, like I feel it. I already feel that everything's better. Um, but yeah, sorry for the rant, but I really get into it when I hear people telling the truth online, and it's just my goal to tell people about these things. Because if you hear you got GERD and Barrett's esophagus, it gets scary, you know. So it's my goal this year to help give people encouragement that their body can get better, because God designed our bodies to get better. But it's up to us to consume the right fuel, to start practicing the right lifestyle changes, to help partner with Him to allow our bodies to do that. So, yes, sir. That's my spill on the diagnosis and symptoms and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to hear all of that. I feel like you said, it's very scary as you get deeper into it, the GERD. I feel like with all the symptoms that you told me, I'll probably be on my watch too, like the whole time. And I think I just want to point out that from earlier, because I wrote it down. I like how you did your elimination diet in the beginning. Switching from keto to carnivore. How you first try to eliminate specific food and then gradually, doing it. I think that's a really good way to approach the carnivore. And also, you mentioned about the stress, like being a contributing factor. I think that's also an important aspect with the whole the again, I'm guessing the health metrics, because a big portion of it is the diet, like you said, but there's also other factors like the stress. I think with the diet, it helps us manage the stress. Like it gets us closer to that point. But I actually wanted to ask you, how you experienced a keto flu. How long did you where you pretty much experienced it? Was it like a couple of weeks? I think it's similar to oxalate dumping. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect way. Oxidant dumping. Yeah, that's true. Mine lasts for 2 weeks. Um, I mean, I felt horrible. I couldn't, like, I didn't want to get out of bed. Energy was super low, but through watching the videos that I was seeing, I knew that that was a common thing, and I just kept going, man. And then after 2 weeks, I felt the best I ever felt in my life.
Wow. Yeah. What was your favorite food like before carnivore? Did you have any specific maybe you like to cook or do you like to eat out?
Yeah, whenever I would, I'd go out. I would go to, gosh, I think my go-to was Cracker Barrel. I love their food. The country fried. I'm a country guy, so I would eat a lot of fried food that had a lot of seed oils in it, and most restaurants had that going on. Now it was like a meat and everything, but still, yeah, it was cooked in seed oils. There was a lot. There was always dessert afterwards. Um, but as far as before I learned about food and knew that it could really impact you the way that it did me, I was a potato chip guy. I mean, it
Mhm.
was oh gosh, it's sad, really. Like I ate Doritos like crazy by the bag in one sitting, and then I'd follow behind that with the whole bag of grapes without washing all of the pesticides off of it, which was crazy to me now. Like thinking what I used to do. Um, and then Dr. Pepper. There was a lot of Dr. Pepper involved. Pepsi, Coke, but Dr. Pepper was my go-to. Me and my wife, we would sit down and we would eat that stuff right there, and then we would have a big bowl of Rocky Road afterwards, and then go to bed. So yeah, that was. If you were there, I've been there. Yeah, but it really messed me up. It all hit me at 34. Finally, it just all came to a point and was like, okay, yeah, body can't handle it anymore. Let's smash him with 9 diagnoses.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. I totally relate with the potato chips. I mean, it's super addicting once you start. I mean, I think it's in a commercial. Once you stop, you can't stop. Something like that, right? And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
the chocolates and the soda. Yeah, those things are hard to at the beginning, hard to kind of forget about because it's still in you. It takes a while. Um,
yeah.
Sam, what does a typical day eating for you look like now? What do you usually eat? Do you keep it consistent, or do you keep it maybe a variation or some sort, or maybe you can walk me through like every week or yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I'll tell you what I did today. When I first wake up, I don't eat. My first meal of the day is not usually until anywhere between 2:30 and 6 o'clock, depending on how busy I am. Like I always want to fast the morning and do a workout while I'm fasting. So once I get home, my go-to is I'll make a big burger, just the patty, and I will put some. I'll read all my ingredients at the store, so I'll just get the Parmesan and stuff like that or the smoked Gouda from the deli section at Walmart. You can do this lifestyle at Walmart. So I get that and I just grate some cheese on there. If it's more than just like, I forget what's in cheese. What is it? Just cream and salt or something? Or cheese cultures and salt. So that's it. I'll put that on top of there. I'll season it with a good mineral salt like Redmond Real Salt, Celtic Sea Salt, Baja Gold. Um, if I can't find anything else, I'll do a 100% pure pink Himalayan sea salt. I'm just looking for the minerals there because, when you're doing carnivore, you have to have electrolytes, and that's where you get it from the salt. Now, this brings me back to if you stayed this far in the video, please comment down below. I stayed to this part, and I'm going to tell you what I was referring to at the beginning of the video when they gave me a solution in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. That is a salt solution. I didn't know that's what it was. It's literally just a salt solution. Your body needs salt, so don't be afraid of it. So I season my food heavily with salt, a good mineral salt. And so I'll take some eggs. I make my own butter now. I do this all on my YouTube channel. I'll show you how I make my butter and all that good stuff. So I have a pan. I'll just put the butter in there, and then I'll put like 5 or 6 eggs in there, and I won't flip it one time. I'll just put it on like a low medium heat, put a cover on it, and once you get a little bit of a white film over top of the yolk, it's good to go. And that tricks my brain into thinking it's like a sauce, because I always used to heavily put barbecue sauce, ketchup, which half a bottle of ketchup is sugar. Um, so it just helps trick my brain that is a sauce or whatever. So I'll eat that. And then I started figuring out ways that I could still eat things like pancakes with that's carnivore, 100% carnivore. So I'll take some milk powder, I'll take some collagen peptides, I'll take some a little bit of that mineral salt again, and then I will put some eggs in there. And I mix that up, and then I just it turns into a batter, and you fry that up in some butter, and you got 100% pure carnivore pancakes. So, and they taste really good too. Like if you haven't tried it, bro, I'm telling you, tastes just like a pancake. You can I'll take some heavy whipping cream. I got a mixer, and then I'll make my own whipped cream out of it. Just put a little bit of salt in there, or you could take some butter, brown it, some salted butter, put it in there with it, and it mixes that. It's like a buttercream. So you can put that on top of your pancake, and dude, it's amazing. So I still enjoy pancakes. I even made a cake the other day that was 100% carnivore based. Same recipe, just use a little bit more of each thing. And I made another whipped cream and used that as the icing. And you don't feel bloated afterwards. You don't feel anything like that. So after I eat my eggs and my burger, I'll eat a piece of that, or I'll make some pancakes and have those with it. And a lot of protein still yet in those. So that's pretty much it. Like I'll drink water all day long. And yeah, that's how you do it. If you want to know the best pharmacy to go to your kitchen, and there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool and interesting at the same time. I'm always looking for carnivore recipe because my family is not carnivore. Like my kids, my wife they're not carnivore, so I'm always looking for something low carb to them or something I can introduce, like like pancakes or maybe like a pizza carnivore or something like that. I think what you're doing is very interesting. Sam, what is the hardest thing about being carnivore for you? Let me give you an example. Like for me, it's been like social gatherings, right? With family and friends, the travel, maybe scouting for restaurants and cravings in the beginning that slowly went away. It took like a year for me to go to get rid of my cravings. What's the hardest thing for you?
Yeah, definitely the social gatherings and things like that. Like with my family, it's always been a heavily processed diet. So I'll go down there and I usually tell them that I already ate. But like during the holidays and stuff, I do break. But yeah, I'll go down there and like if it's the holidays or something, I'll have the cake and things like that. But I wouldn't do it whenever I was like starting to heal. Like now my body is healed and I'm okay doing that. But um that is definitely, I agree. That is the main thing right there is any type of social gathering. Like I have a dinner that I gotta go to this Tuesday and I'm just like, oh gosh, I don't want to turn them down, Um, but that, and then one of the things that's the hardest part about carnivore for me too, and it doesn't even have to go into eating or anything in that regard, but it's just telling my family that they're always asking, they're wanting to take Ozempic and things like that, and there's an appetite suppressant called phentermine or something to that effect. And they're like, "Yeah, I need to do what you did, but I just can't." Having the feeling of they don't believe me just because it's me, that's really agitating to me. So as far as being a carnivore, that's a really difficult part too, is trying to tell somebody just the benefits that they're going to get for something like this, and then they don't listen just because they know me personally. But I could turn around and I could talk to people like you. I could talk to people on my school community. I could talk to people on YouTube and all of that, and they listen and they're sending me results, man. Like there's this girl on my school community. She has started doing carnivore. She had reflux really bad. She's in her 40s, and she sent me a picture of her before and after. You see all the inflammation going out of her face. You see her face thinner. She's starting to finally sleep in her bed. And I tell this to the people that know me. I'm like, if you just do this, you're going to get better. But they don't listen just because they know me personally. Those are the two things that make carnivore the most difficult for me. But yeah.
Yeah, I totally relate to that experience. I feel like most carnivores would pretty much relate to that experience because time is kind of like you see people suffering and you can't do anything because we're not really forcing it on them. So, but it's just something that we kind of have to see alone or like live alone. But yeah, Sam, if you had to describe the impact of carnivore in your life, what one word would you describe it, and tell me why?
One word. It's difficult. Enlightening. Enlightening would be my word for carnivore because I don't believe people understand the power of it. And it was once you go carnivore and then you see all the benefits in your body, it gives you an enlightenment, a paradigm shift in your head to where you cannot go back to the old way of thinking. Like you see the benefits that you get from it and just the results that you get, the results that, some things like Barrett's that gets reversed, some things like GERD that gets reversed, weight loss like crazy. When you eat more fat, you start losing more fat. That's an enlightenment, you know. But that's the one word that I would categorize that the way that I think about carnivore.
Yeah, I think that's a great word, and also a great, very well said how you put it together with enlightening. I also feel like most people would try things halfway, like or like especially when they try a specific diet, like even not even like carnivore, like they try paleo, they try keto, and they only go halfway. Knowing what you know now about nutrition and the carnivore lifestyle and the health aspect, the benefits, if you come across a friend or someone who's interested about doing carnivore, but they're very skeptical about the whole thing, because they have no clue and they're very curious, but at the same time, they think they're going to get a heart attack. What would you tell them?
Well, the way that I've done this a few times before is I explain just the things that you don't hear about normally about saturated fat. See, saturated fat, it stays liquefied at like 95 degrees or something like that. So it stays a liquid, not a solid. So your body temperature alone will keep that from solidifying inside of your arteries. So that's a myth that's been debunked by some doctors that I listen to. So I show them an example. I'll take 2 glasses of water, one of them that is heated up to like 90 some degrees, just get a thermometer or whatever and show that's that, and drop some fat in there, some hardened fat from a pan, and you'll watch it turn into a liquid. It does the same thing inside of your arteries. So yes, your LDL does go up, but that we need LDL. That is a binding agent that seals up wounds in your body. Like if you get a cut and you get a scab, guess what made that do that? LDL. So LDL is actually a good thing. And then I would explain to them, I'm like, look, you've tried everything else, and now you're asking me, you've seen my results. So just try it for 90 days and see how you feel. I would guarantee them, because this is a common thing that happens with everybody. You're going to lose a lot of water weight from the beginning. You're going to lose a massive amount of weight from the get-go. And, I'd just be like, don't knock it till you try it. Try it for 90 days faithfully. And if you got to go into it like I do, make it a longer process. Do the month long of whole foods, do the month long of keto, and then go in the carnivore and stay in that at least 2 months, but I would suggest 90 days. And then see how they feel. I don't believe that's going to kill anybody to do it for 90 days. So that's what I actually have a buddy, now that I think about it, he sent me a message a little while back, and he's my age. We went to school together. I'm about to turn 37. He's 37. But he had like 25% of his heart working. He works at I'm right on the border of West Virginia, so he works in the coal industry, like working on coal trucks and stuff. He told me that, oh man, it's he would drink 4 Red Bulls a day, smoke 2 packs of cigarettes, and then he'd drink a 12-pack of beer whenever he got home. And then the diet down there is pretty rough. But it's I would suggest to him what I just mentioned to you is what I suggested to him. Try it for a little while. Just try to be faithful to it as much as possible. If you need to mix it up a little bit but still be faithful, check out my channel, because I got stuff on there. And I'm not doing like just a plug on yours. I literally told him that go check out the channel, because I couldn't think of everything that I would like, that all the information that's on my YouTube channel, I can't think of that all at one time. So I told him to go check that out. I had a progress update. Everything that I always talk about on my short form content, everything that I always talk about on all my socials, I started doing again. As soon as the clock hit 12 on January 1st of this year, I started doing this whole process again of the whole food, the keto, going in the carnivore. And I told him to go watch the progress update video. You're going to see it working on the inside of my body. Model that and let me know how you feel in 90 days. So that's what I mentioned to him to do, and I hope he goes and does it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very good advice because it's very realistic, 90 days, and it leaves for any margin of errors. And, you could actually see, progress in just like a month, but like 90 days is realistic for any beginner because it gives you a lot of time to like gradually change lifestyle habits. Sam, how do you see carnivore in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you see it in a positive light or in negative light, meaning you'll see maybe censorship in the media, maybe meat prices going high, or maybe a lot of pushback from people who does not like carnivore. And then the good light could be more people joining the community because they want to learn more. We see a lot of people healing like you and me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I believe that there's going to be a surge of carnivores. There's a lot of information on the internet about it right now, and it's to the point now. I don't know if you know this or not, but there is a bill in Congress right now to where they are trying to debate to silence people like us. I seen this on Dr. Eric Bird's. I'll send you in your email. I'll send you the picture of what I read from him. But there's a bill right now trying to get passed in Congress that will silence people like you and me and Dr. Kimberly from saying things like processed food is bad, sugar is bad, saturated fat is good, eat more meat. But that's a real bill right now in Congress to silence people like us. So it's already getting pushed back, which is a good thing because that tells me that Big Pharma is losing a lot of customers. But I believe that there's going to be some pushback, congressionally against that as well, because RFK, regardless of what our politics are, let's throw away the Democrat, the Republican, all that stuff right now. RFK is doing an amazing job trying to get the big food industry to remove some of these artificial food dyes, all that crap like that. He's bringing out the light and the truth about carnivore. The man is 72 years old, and he was on Dr. Paul Saladino's channel doing 20 pull-ups at 72 years old. Look at the guy. He's shredded, you know what I mean? And he's a mainly carnivore. I think he does a lot of keto too, but he's mainly meat-based. So he's doing an amazing job. But yeah, they're fighting against each other in that regard right now. But I believe on the internet is where people's going to start getting better. They're going to find podcasts like yours. They're going to find interviews like what Dr. Kim Berry does, and people that's had real results like yourself and me and Dave, who did the interview with last week. I think people's going to listen to this. I believe they are going to take action and combine that with RFK taking out some of those addictive chemicals in the food. It's going to be easier for people to maintain and control that hunger hormone ghrelin. So they're, it's not going to be buying as much and stuff like that. So as far as buying the meat, I don't know how the prices are going to go. It's really hard to predict. Like I was expecting them to drop, but they have not. So the way I maintain my diet is I'll look for the discounts in the stores, but of course I got a Sam's Club membership. You can get a Costco membership, and you can buy in bulk. And that, spending $200 on a big chunk of meat, and then you got to cut that up and eat the steak. It's going to help you get faithful to your diet. You know what I mean? Because once you start eating and you're buying it cheaper and you're staying faithful to your diet, you're removing the processed foods, you're not going out to restaurants much anymore. All that combined, you're going to save a little bit of money by buying bulk, and people are going to start eating it. And I believe that there is going to be a big push for keto carnivore. And I believe that there's going to be a lot of people that starts to recover and get better because people like yourself is doing the work like you're doing right now. I'm on my channel doing the work like I'm doing right now. Dr. Kim Berry staying consistent. And hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, are already getting better. So this is just the beginning. Yeah, carnivore's been a big topic for a few years now, but I just think that there's going to be more and more people start talking about it because YouTube is the biggest search engine that there is right now. And people's on here asking specific questions about the carnivore diet, about how to reverse this, how to reverse that. So more people that have all these different issues starts talking about the power of carnivore, the word's going to get out more. So I see it being a very good positive thing within the next 5 years.
Yeah, I completely agree with the being very good, positive side. At the same time, I think you mentioned about the bill. I think I'm interested. Yeah, send me the info. I think it's the best thing for to share this to the carnivore community because they might not be aware of it. Like you said, they're trying to. It's currently in Congress right now, right? And they're trying to pass it. Yeah, I think I definitely share this with the carnivore space. Sam, if people want to reach out or connect with you, where's the best place to reach you?
Samuel Payne, just like it's spelled on the bottom here, on any social, YouTube, That's the one where the most information is. You can go to YouTube. You can go to the link in the bio of my YouTube, and you can find me on School. I have a free community with a free course in there. I'm not suckering anybody into anything. It's 100% free. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok's my biggest platform right now, but it's all under Samuel Payne, and all of it has a lot of valuable information that I did myself and seen results. And there's been a lot of people on there that's starting to get better just by watching some redneck from the southwestern side of Virginia talk about what he did to get better.
Sam, that's excellent. I'm going to make sure to post all of it in the description so people can reach you. Sam, thank you again for joining me, and I really enjoyed hearing your story, your carnivore journey. I appreciate you taking the time to share. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you, man.